Oh, snap. It's time to yap. And I'm your host, Big C, and welcome to another episode of Just Yappin'. Today's episode is sponsored by W Focus Energy Drink. That's right, W Focus Energy Drink. You get 10% off when you use the code XT0419. That's XT0419. And you can find this on the web at www. Today's episode, I'm going to be covering coping with the loss of a family member, a friend, a coworker, and sometimes even a pet. Remember, there are different people out there who cope and grieve differently than one another, right? I'll cover that. I'll also cover signs, maybe spiritual signs that you may see on your everyday travel, on the radio, different things like that from somebody who passed that was really close to you. And then I'll end off by maybe giving you some coping skills that could maybe help you in your future in dealing with the loss of someone. So this I gave thought, and I hope you all can take something from it, because again, I try to say that I try to stay positive on this show, on this podcast, nothing negative. But I know that the holidays are coming up soon, and there are people that we wish, or some wish, that were on earth today to celebrate with. But you know what? That's not going to happen. We are guaranteed only one thing, and unfortunately, that one thing is death. I know people don't like to talk about it. I'm not here again to make people sad or open up maybe an old wound that you might have had in the past. But that's one thing in life that is guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to go to work tomorrow and get a paycheck. You're not guaranteed tomorrow that it's going to be sunny or raining or anything. You're not going to be guaranteed a raise tomorrow, or for some unfortunate that you'll have food on your table for tomorrow. That's not guaranteed at all. What's guaranteed is when it's our time, unfortunately, it is our time. I'd spoken to my young guy many times because when he was younger, his grandmother had passed away. And he didn't understand, just like many children out there, and even those folks out there who are listening to my podcast, even if you don't have children, you yourself have lost, right? Whether younger or it doesn't matter, you still lost someone. So I tried telling him that, on an easy level of explanation, I tried to say, son, if you put a flower or a plant, right, in the ground, what do you have to do? He tells me, Daddy, you got to give it water, you have to give it sunshine, and you have to give it love. And then I said, what will happen if you don't? He said, it dies. With that being said, he's absolutely correct. Every living thing on this planet has to go one day. It has to. Is there an afterlife? I don't know. Remember, this ain't a religious or a thing type podcast. I don't know. What I want to do is just give you some insight on experiences of myself, and maybe reach out to the people that are out there to hear what I'm saying, and maybe we can relate, right? Have we all had losses? Of course. Me, that I'm getting older, it's sad to say I'm going to hear about people who I grew up with that are no longer going to be here. Or if you watch the news and stuff like that, which they give all sad reports anyway, you hear about children this and young adults this and motor vehicle accidents with young kids, and that's sad. I think that's the hardest thing for any parent, to lose a child, period. Again, there are some parents there's some parents out there who honestly, and I'll be blunt, don't care about their children, and I'll be upfront. But there's some like me and my wife who love our kids. Period. We love our kids, and I know you out there who are watching, you love your kids. And that's, I don't want to touch on it because then I'll get a little emotional, and I don't want you folks getting emotional either. But I'll tell you, in 10 years, I've heard different stories from different people. And how do you cope, right? We're going probably a 10-year span, right? So I lost my cousin who is young, like a month or two before my son was born. Then I lost my best friend to a motorcycle accident. He was young. He was 24. Then in 2015, I lost my mom. 2 months later, I lost my mother-in-law. Fast forward, I lost my older brother probably about a year and a half later. And then just over the summertime, unfortunately, I lost my nephew. But I lost my nephew. So you're going to see people who take the loss of a family member or a friend or someone differently than you or I, right? Oh, why isn't that person crying? What, you don't care? No, it's just everyone is built differently. Everyone has a different demeanor about themselves or the way they were taught about loss. Or in general, it's true, maybe some people just don't have feelings. People don't cry, or people just don't, or you don't know. They could actually drive to work like I do, or in the shower like many of you do as well, and cry. Because that's your private time. Nobody's around. You're not going to cry in front of your friends. You're not going to cry in front of your kids. You're not going to you're not going to cry in front of your coworkers, right? Because they're going to be like, oh my God, what's going on? What's wrong? You don't want to tell anybody. You don't want to open that door of hurt feelings to say, hey, this, no. Everybody, we all keep that bottled inside, right? And that's not a good thing. You can't keep that stuff bottled inside. And I have heard in the past of how do you cope with the loss of 5 family members, kids, like I only lost maybe like one person or so, but they all together, they meant something to me. They're a part of my life. The same with you out there. They're a part of your lives. You're not going to forget about them ever. The same with you. When you go, you don't want anybody forgetting about you. Are they going to? Sad to say, yes. The best thing is to just keep their memories alive. We go day by day seeing how people react to one another when somebody goes, right? Like you have friends, your family, again, it's going to be like, oh, why isn't this person crying? Or why isn't this person sad? They're just not going to tell you, or they're not just going to show you because one, it's just how people are built. They struggle, but you won't see it because they'll put on a front or they'll put on this happy mask, right? And then behind it, you don't know what's going on. People can be depressed. People can drive themselves to alcohol or drugs or just distance themselves from other family members or friends or just not do anything and just hide in a closet and just like go to work and come home and just not do anything and hibernate for years. No traveling, no nothing. So in that path of you losing someone, like the poor and again, I meant to say it as well, but even pets. Pets are a part of our family. To those who don't have children, pets are a part of our family, like that poor guy with the little squirrel, Peanut, right? Poor guy, that was his homeboy or a little homegirl, Peanut, right? And then unfortunately, law enforcement came in and euthanized the poor thing. How do you think that dude feels? Maybe that guy, we don't know him. I don't know him personally, but maybe like that was taken away from him. Maybe that little squirrel brought joy to him. You know what I'm saying? And then once it's done, it's done. There's no bringing back. That's sad to me. That's really hurtful. I won't go there, but I was just giving you like an example because animals are important to us as well. You know, as we go along the line of grieving and trying to find, because people find spiritual signs of those that we have lost. And I'll tell you what, they're out there. And I'm not saying this because, you know, we're having a conversation, we're yapping. I'm just letting you know that there are signs out there. Whether you want to believe it or not, there are signs out there. I'm not a religious person. Yeah, I used to go to church back in the day when my mom was like, Mira, put on your clothes and let's go. We got to go to church Sunday. That's different. Not anymore. There are signs out there. Have I seen them? No question. It's sad to say, like this morning, I had a dream about my mom. And it was mad real, like real for real. But that's something that, even though I woke up kind of like emotional and crying, I kind of know that she was there because she came to visit me in my dream. You know what I'm saying? So I'm blessed to still have her around. Whether you like it or not, they're around. Whether you believe it or not. That's all I have to say. The signs, if you want the signs to be for you and you only, then keep it. Because I know people who share, oh my God, I saw this about my mother or my grandmother or my uncle or whoever. And some people are like, nah, it's not true. Don't believe it. Or, oh, okay. No, you want to believe it? You keep that to yourself, and you probably can share with others who understand, and they go through it as well, right? Those are the best people to confide in because you can say, hey, this happened to me, and they understand because it also happens to them. We have this thing where we like to, my sadness type is better than yours. Does that make sense to some? But we kind of want to be on the same level page as one another when we lose somebody. So then that way it's understanding. You know, we tend to forget anniversaries, birthdays of those who have passed. The best thing to do if you do forget is either write it down, or if you really weren't sure, or if you missed it, because I know for myself, I'll be like, man, I forgot my mom's birthday today. She would have been X amount of age, right? We all do that. Light a candle. Light a candle, or if you are religious, say a prayer. Little different coping skills that I'm going to give you before I end this podcast episode. I know for myself, and I'm pretty sure that you out there, my audience, my beautiful fans out there, I'm pretty sure that some of you don't know how to cope, and it's been years and you're still grieving, which is okay. You have the right to cry. You have the right to be upset because you shared something with somebody that you love that was close to you, like I have, my wife, my son, all my family members, and you out there as well. You have that right. If you have trouble that you can't cope with it, or you find something else like work to keep your mind off of it, then good for you. That's what you're supposed to do. And in your right time and your right frame of mind, when it's time for you to think about them, then do just that. You have the right to. I would hate for people to forget about me when you left an imprint on this earth, right? Some people are forgotten about, which is really sad, but we have our own families, some, or we have our own things to do. We just get lost in your everyday. And it's okay to. That's not your fault. We're human. Some people might cope by going to a coping skills group. Does that make sense? Like, I know people out there who lost loved ones and they go to like a meeting to sit down with one another and say, hey, I lost this, but how do I cope? That's okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's some people out there who will just like, you know, you tell somebody the story and you tell they're not interested. They're like, oh my gosh, like, shut up, shut up. Then you need to find somebody else. You need to find somebody that's going to listen to you and give some kind of input or feedback and be like, listen, I feel you. Anytime you want to vent, come talk to me. I'm pretty sure you have friends out there. I hope you do. Or family members that, you know, and again, let me backtrack. Sometimes and I've been this way before, I don't like bothering my family when I'm upset, especially when we lose somebody. I don't like that, because then it makes me feel like I'm unstable with my family. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like, I'm not unstable. I'm just like, you know, I might go drinking or I might do something. No. For those of you out there who actually cope by doing those things, I suggest, and I'm not a counselor, I ain't getting paid to be a counselor. I'm just saying you should try and seek help, because we all have the right, again, to cope, but you have to cope respectfully, because I'm pretty sure that your loved ones that you lost out there don't want you doing that, right? They don't want you using drugs or drinking alcohol or not caring in general, not, you know, and then turn around and then hurt yourself, God forbid. I hope that this episode will bring people peace and comfort in those who have passed already or those who have recently passed, because I know that I've heard some really sad stories. I just heard some really sad stories of people that I know. I hope that your family find comfort in these tough times. Pick up the phone, because that again is another coping skill. Like, a lot of us say, nobody cares about me or nobody does this. But I'll tell you what, when my mom, my brother passed away, and my mother-in-law, they, like, people who I haven't spoken to in years, I'm talking 20 years, called me out of the blue, because, now I shouldn't say out of the blue, but that was the most heartfelt thing anybody could do for someone, excuse me, who lost them. Because that means a lot. That means a lot to people who don't think you care about them. You do care. And that's important. Don't ever forget that. Excuse me, I didn't think I was going to lose it, but I'm keeping my bearing. So I hope that you out there find peace, tranquility somehow, somewhere, and comfort in your loss, in your sad loss. Hopefully, that's what they say. Hopefully, we'll all will meet again, right? So before I go, please, if you go on my YouTube channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm also on TikTok, if you guys are interested in like my episodes. And all I have to say is, before I go, is that crack a can of W and keep yapping. I'm Big C. Peace.